What is going on, guys? In today's video I will show you the best cast comet sorceress build in Path of Exile 2. If you are looking for this build on the website, then click my link in the description or the pinned comment. So this setup is a new combo between the Spark Sorceress and the cast comet and the time freeze. Our build will rely on high spark crits rather than drowning them in hundreds of different sparks. This way our clear speed will be as good as any other sorceress, but against bosses is the place where we are going to shine. Our crit scaling will reach crazy levels of damage. Even if you don't one-shot the boss, then you will have about 13 to 14 seconds, plus 7 seconds and even 3 more additional seconds of the time stops in your disposal. So if you are ready to destroy enemies and pretty much one-shot the bosses, then this is the one for you. So let me show you the build, and for the main class we are going with the Sorceress and our Ascendancy is the Chronomancer. Then for the first skill we have Time Freeze with the Wind Wave, Second Wind and Unbreakable. Then second we got the Time Snap with no support gems. Then next we got Temporal Rift with Ingenuity. Next we have Temporal Chains with the Cursed Ground, Encumbrance, Expanse, Magnified Effect and Ritualistic Curse. Then for the next one we have the Cast on Critical with the Comet, Spell Echo, Elemental Focus, Inspiration and the Concentrated Effect. Next we got Conductivity with the Heightened Curse and the Focus Curse. Next we got the Soul Offering with the Minion Mastery, Dance Maccabi and the Ablation. Next we have Frost Wall with the Icicle, Cold Mastery, Spell Cascade and the Cold Exposure. Next up we have the Archmage with the Clarity and the Lightning Mastery. And finally we are using the Spark with the Acceleration, Electrocute, Consider Casting, Arcane Surge and the Arcane Tempo. Most of this setup is structured around using our sparks for AoE and temporal chains with time freeze for the single target. So we use gems and skills that will support and increase their duration and damage, while the rest are powerful buffs and utility skills that usually get activated in the background. Next we also have a leveling build in case if you are starting your journey from level 0 and you want to use it up until about level 25. So first off we have Spark with the Unleash and Control Destruction. Then next we have the Flame Wall with the Fortress. Next we got the Frost Bomb with the Magnified Effect and the Spell Cascade. And finally we are using the Orb of Storms with the Persistence and Conduction. Next up we have our passive tree, and if you are interested in a full in-depth guide on how it works, then check out my beginner guide. So let's take a look at our setup, and we want to start at the spell damage node, and then go like this while taking all of these three, so the raw power, practice signs and the critical overload. Then now we keep on going until we get to the sudden escalation. Then from here again we keep going until the top and then take right. And then keep going until we get to the Whispers of the Doom, and then get both these lightning nodes. Then afterwards we keep going while taking pretty much all of these nodes right here, and then our second stop point is at this Eldritch Battery Keystone. And then finally from here we want to get all the way down here while taking these three, so the True Strike, for the Juggler and the Deadly Force. And now from this point and onwards we can circle back and unlock the rest of the nodes in whatever order you prefer. All of these nodes that we got are very useful, but the ones I mentioned have the top priority, as they're the most important ones to acquire early on in the game, to make our build functional, and then later on the priority doesn't really matter that much. Also, as far as attributes go, you just simply want to fulfill your attribute requirements for gear and gems, and then after that spend the rest in intelligence. And then on top of this, a lot of our build is also improved by our specific jewels that we use. So for the top 3 options we have the Sapphire gems that increase spell damage, then increased critical damage bonus and increased critical spell damage bonus. And then now let's go all the way to the middle again, and for Ascendancy build this is what we have. So at the beginning you want to unlock the Footprints in the Sand. Then second, now and again. Then next we want the ultimate command, and then finally select the Unbound and Core. So feel free to use this exact same path as we have right here. And don't forget to check this video's description to find the link for this website, and this should make it easier for you to follow the path. Next up we have our Atlas passives, and the general idea behind this is to aim for bonus passives that spawn a lot of grouped up monsters, such as in expeditions or in rituals. So when we start we want to first of all go to the right side and get all of these nodes, and then keep going down until you get to the keystone called the Deadly Evolution. Then next circle back a little, and this time we go up top to the second keystone called the Unstable Energies. And then only from this point and onwards you can unlock the rest of the nodes in whatever order you want. But then on top of this we also have sub-passives, and their order in which you unlock them doesn't really matter, so this time it's up to you. And this is how it should look like for the ritual. Then next we have Delirium. Then third we have the bosses. Then on top of that we have the pinnacle bosses. Then next we also have our expedition setup, and then finally our breach setup. Next we have our gear. The weapon of our choice is the siphoning wand, and for the bonus stats we want to gain damage as extra lightning damage, increased spell damage, more to max mana, more levels to all cold spells, increased mana regen and critical hit chance. Then also we got an offhand called the Expert Plummet Focus with Energy Shield. And for more we want increased spell and lightning damage, max mana, more to intelligence and increased mana regen and critical hit chance to spells. Then also we have the second weapon set, which is very important for our build to fully function. So for the weapon we got the Rattling Scepter with the max mana, reduced attribute requirements and more levels of all minion skills. While for our offhand we got the Crest of the Artura Shield with increased armor and energy shield, more to intelligence, and increased mana regen and cooldown recovery. Then for helmet we have the Expert Feather Tiara with energy shield, and for more we got max energy shield, max mana and more to fire and cold resistance. Then for the chest we have the Expert Kate Raiment with energy shield. And for more we want increased mana regen and flask mana recovery, more to spirit and chaos and lightning resistance. Then for the belt we have the plate belt with more to armor, max mana and cold and fire resistance. Then for gloves we got the Expert Sombri gloves with energy shield. And for more we want max energy shield, max mana and more to critical damage bonus. Then for boots we're using the Expert Feather Sandals with energy shield. And for more we need increased movement speed, max energy shield and max mana. Then for our first ring we got the Amethyst ring with the chaos resistance. And for more we want increased lightning damage, max mana, increased cast speed and mana regen. While for the second one we have the breach ring with increased cold and lightning damage, max mana, increased cast speed and increased mana regen rate. And then finally for amulet we have the solar amulet with more to spirit. And for bonus stats we want max mana, more to spirit and increased mana regen. No matter which gear you choose, just at least try to get 75% resistance cap on all 4 elements. This is the best case scenario setup, which should be more of an example of what stats and prefixes to look for. Then next we have runes. During early item progression, most gear will be sacred with resistant runes. However, once your elemental resistances have been capped and resistance runes are no longer necessary, then you want to opt in to increase your maximum life with body runes or consider sacking a soul core. So right now on my first offhand I'm using the soul core of the Zealate, while on the second one I got the glacial rune. And then for armor, on the chest piece we have 2 iron runes, while on the gloves and boots we got the soul core of the Zealate. On top of this, we need quickly look into the charms. Charms are incredibly useful, as by having the right one equipped at the right time can save you from dying. If you are struggling with certain bosses, then look into what damage type they are using, and then use that specific charm to increase your resistance. For me personally, I like to use the stone charm for stuns. Then second, get the Taving charm for when we become frozen. And then finally, we want the Amethyst charm for chaos damage. But as I said, which one you choose will entirely depend on the enemies that you are fighting. So feel free to experiment and mix and match. And now finally, let's quickly take a look at how this build will work. So our rotation is quite simple, but you will need to get used to it. So what we want to do is first of all start by using the temporal chains. Then we follow that up with the conductivity. Then next use the time freeze in the combination with the soul offering. Then next we also want to activate the frost wall, and then from here just spam the sparks until the boss dies. But mainly for AoE and weak enemies, we basically will turn into a spark build. So just keep spamming sparks and see all of these crazy crits popping off left and right. The only thing you need to keep in mind is the defense. Our build does not have energy shields, so mind over matter is a good defensive layer, but should not be heavily relied on in the endgame. While the time freeze has a high cooldown, so feel free to use it 24/7. Then also the second wind for 33% no cooldown. And then the time snap reset will allow you to use the time freeze continuously in the combat. Overall, if you can master these skills, then you will become unkillable with very high DPS output at the same time. So let me know what you think about this build in the comments below. If you enjoyed this, then you definitely don't wanna miss my top 3 best sorceress builds video, where I showed even more powerful builds. So click the screen now and I'll see you in the next one.